Class. My name is Sam Dorney, and the topic I chose to research was the mental health crisis in sports. The reason I chose this topic was more of personal reasons and personal experience rather than something that I've just been interested in following for a while. I played basketball at elite level from about 7th grade up until my freshman and sophomore year. And throughout that period, I faced a ton of injuries. I had knee injuries. I blew out both of my shoulders. I had partially torn ACLs in both knees throughout that time period, which I've recovered from. But I've been out of that sport so long that any kind of offer or scholarship that I had was taken off the table. And the main thing that I struggled with during these injury periods was my mental health because I couldn't get on the court. To me, basketball was an escape from all the problems around me in life. And when that was taken away, it was more just like a shock. I couldn't do what I loved. I couldn't continue to work and get better. I had to sit on the bench and watch my teammates take my spot and then win without me. And it just mentally destroyed me. So it's more, I was researching this topic and going more into depth of it because I wanted to have a better understanding of it. And as a possible career choice after college, I was looking to go into sports psychology to help those who suffered from the same things that I suffered. So as far as the research goes, it went by pretty easily. There were some articles that I found that were pretty biased because if you look at how sports are, it's a way to distract the public from what's going on around them and around the world. The Romans used the gladiatorial arenas to distract the public from what was actually going on and everything that was falling apart. In America, it kind of does the same thing. We have the NFL, the NBA, the MLB as like distractions to the public to give them something to look forward to and focus on when there's other stuff going around them that needs to be focused on. But so I didn't really, again, run into any problems with research. It was more just finding enough sources was my main issue because there's not a lot of information out there about it. There's a bunch of statements that have been made by players, but there's not a lot of formal research that's been done that's accessible to the public. As far as like my hypothesis, it was pretty easy to figure it out because the question I was asking is there really a mental health crisis in sports? And yes, there is. Like here, I have an example of a quote by Michael Phelps on the screen that he's even admitting that he struggled with mental health throughout the Olympics. And then the best example I could think of that pretty much everyone knows about is Derrick Rose. He won MVP. He was the best point guard in the league when he was playing and he was healthy. He tore both knees. His ACLs were destroyed. He's still playing, but he's not at the level that he was at. And he even admitted that it destroyed him mentally. It took away everything he'd worked for and brought him down to almost nothing, where he couldn't do everything that he was good at, and he had to adapt his game into a way he wasn't comfortable playing. And as far as like any kind of opposition that I found, there wasn't a lot of it, really, because a lot of people are finally coming out and saying, yes, there is a problem, it needs to be addressed. There's still people who are saying, oh no, sports is good. You don't have any mental issues in sports because it's something that releases endorphins into your body and makes you happy. Which, yes, that is the case, but if you're an athlete who gets injured and you can't do that, then yes, there's an issue. And there are athletes who are unhappy without being injured in their sport, and most of it's because of the pressure that you're facing as an athlete and as a student athlete, because you have, your entire class in school watching you pretty much. So if you do one thing wrong, all that pressure comes crashing down on you, and they're going to be talking about it. They're going to be saying stuff to you like, oh man, you missed that shot and we lost the game, blah, 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 like stuff like that in school. I had that happen my freshman year when we went to state playoffs. I missed like a wide open layup and almost blew the game, but I got a lot of stuff talked about that for a while. And as far as like what the future of this research for this topic looks like, the future looks bright for athletes who are struggling from this. Like, there's a lot of psychologists now who are going out and saying, look, we can help you, and we're doing more research on it. There's studies being done that are saying, yes, there is a problem and it needs to be addressed. We're not going backwards really with this. It's more going forwards and addressing the problem. Like, professional athletes are coming out now and saying it too. And they usually don't admit anything until they're retired. And if they're current athletes saying that, it's a problem. You need to address it. Honestly, from my research, I feel like I kind of just reached like the tip of the iceberg. Like I didn't really go full in depth because I didn't really do any kind of studies of my own on it or talk to other student athletes, which is something that hopefully I can do in the future. Because as I mentioned earlier, that this is something I'm looking at as a career choice. Because I would have loved to play basketball in college and maybe overseas if I got lucky enough, but that was kind of taken away from me, and I don't have that opportunity anymore, and it sucks. But I want to be able to help those who are also suffering from what I suffered through, especially the younger generation. It's especially with COVID and everything, you see higher depression rates, higher suicide rates, and there's not a lot being done about it. And I kind of want to be able to help with that, especially with the athletes, because a lot of seniors and a lot of younger kids are having their seasons ripped away, and it's something that's going to last for a while, and they're going to remember that because it's something they looked forward to and something that they worked their butts off to get towards, especially those who are finally making that varsity team and were going to start or going to finally get college attention. They had that robbed pretty much from them, and we haven't had a season in about 2 years now. So, well, at least I haven't had a season in 2 years. Most other athletes haven't had a season in about a year now, especially with football and basketball being canceled in Washington. Um, Pretty much the only thing I'd like everyone else to know about this is be aware of your friends and like what they're going through. Because I had a teammate my freshman year. I played soccer with him, like very popular kid. He was one of those where he kind of had a lot more pressure on him because he was known by everyone. He was a starter on lacrosse as well as soccer. And he also suffered from bipolar disorder and no one knew about it. And he took himself off his medication. And people didn't really take him seriously, where they thought he was just joking around with some comments he was making. And then he ended up killing himself. And it was a pretty much like a slap in the face that no one really cared enough or paid attention enough to know what was going on. And pretty much all I'd like anyone else to know is pay attention to those around you. And if someone's reaching out for help, don't not offer them that help. Like, go out and help them. Make sure you're there for them, especially like athletes who are injured and anyone in general, really. If you know friends or family who are depressed and they're having issues and not really getting help, try to help them get help or be there for them, so at least they know someone's there for them. And that's really all I have to say. Thank you for listening to my presentation.